Welcome to yet another exciting edition of Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network. On this edition of the program, Team Nigeria is set to excel at the Paris Paralympic Games. Coming from the world of still elite athletes shatter records at the Celsa Diamond League. In the football, Remo Stars exit CAF Champions League. Details of this and many more will be yours when we return from the break. Stay with us. Welcome back to Sports Talk. Mike is here.
Thanks for having me this morning and good morning to have yourself.
Let's get started as usual. It's just about 48 hours to the kickoff of this year's Paralympic Games in Paris, France. And Nigeria's 8-man squad to the games in tennis is, as tutored by Sule, is saying they are ready to bring back medals from the Paralympic Games, which gets underway on Wednesday. Mike, it's been, let's say, common knowledge that Nigeria harvests more from the Paralympic Games than the able-bodied Olympic Games. Now, the table tennis squad is of the opinion that they are returning home with the medal. They are made of 6 men and 2 women.
Yes, for me, if you take a look at the history of the Nigerian Paralympic team over the years, I think they've shown that indeed they have what it takes to compete at the highest level and bring honors to the country. So if there is anything to go by from our past record, I believe that they are primed this time around to go out there and do exploit. And of course, you know, we have rich history in terms of a tennis event for the Olympic Games. So looking at the rich history that we have, and also buoyed by the fact that the disappointing outing of their able-bodied counterpart, talking about the Nigerian team in the just concluded Paris Olympic Game, is another motivating factor for them to go out there and at least, you know, wipe the shame of, you know, the able-bodied counterpart. And you actually listening to some of the, you know, athletes out there building up to this very one, they are brimming with confidence as well. And of course, you know that out of the 12 billion naira that was projected for this year's Paris Olympic Game, 3 billion actually went for the Paralympic team to actually enable them prepare for this very one. So, like I said earlier, if there's anything to go by from their past record, I think they are primed to go out there and bring success to the country.
Team Nigeria at the Paralympic Games are not short of motivation. 3 billion naira in terms of getting them ready, and of course, jumbo bonuses, 15,000 for gold, and of course, that's, you couldn't have gotten it any better. 10 for silver and 5 for bronze medal. Team Nigeria's table tennis squad, made of 6 men and 2 women, will compete in doubles, the mixed double event, and of course the single event. And like we said, in history, the Paralympians have always done well, especially in tennis, where they won 2 gold and 3 silver, 2 gold and 3 bronze medal at the Atlanta Olympic Games. And it looks like they are sure, because Sule, who won the bronze medal in Atlanta, believes that the team under his watch should do better, having prepared well in Saarbrücken, Germany, where they took part in some event. The Paralympic tennis event actually set off on the 29th. That will be on Thursday, and it promises to be very thrilling. The schedule kicks off with men and women, including the mixed double events, while the men's and women's singles will begin on Sunday, the 1st of September. We understand 181 athletes are competing for glory in Paris, and we'll see how many of the gold medal are showcased will Nigeria bring back home. Let's quickly continue in athletics, where Nigerian sprinters Olayinka Olajide and Justina Yapomehe have completed their switches to the National College Athletic Association in the United States of America, joining a long list of Nigerian athletes schooling and competing at the same time. Favour Philly, very prominent on this one, and I think it's a laudable program where they register in this colleges system that competes and at the same time go through studies.
Yeah, I think for me it's a very nice one for their career. It is an upgrade because the collegiate activities, there you have more better facilities to train with, and some of these athletes have been seeking for this opportunity. And of course, you see the fact that they actually did pretty well in the African athletic championship. This has also helped them also to get to this point, despite our disappointing outing at the Paris Olympic game. But then some of them individually, they had a very good season so far. So buoyed by that fact, I think this is the reason why most of these universities were able to at least see them, get to know their talent, and also try to integrate them into the system. And I believe it's a good one for the Nigerian Athletic Federation, and I believe they are going to utilize this opportunity to also improve on themselves and also continue to do the country proud. A nice way for them to continue to at least better prepare for their careers, because most of them, they are still very young, some 17, some 21. So I think if they start at this very tender age to get exposed to some of the top-notch facilities, to train with, they stand a better chance of competing favorably well against the best hands in the world.
Talking about being structured in the world of sports, this is the way to go. You need to ensure that the athletes at a very young age are not deprived of some other activities, especially studies, and at the same time hone their talent. Because Olajide, who is just 21 years of age, joined the Texas Tech, which also has another Nigerian, Temitope Additional, as a high jumper, and long jumper, Ruth Soro, is in that fold as well. We understand the 17-year-old Yapome was signed for the University of Southern California, and both athletes were part of the Nigerian squad at the just concluded Olympic Games in the 4x100 meters relay event. We just hope that they will continue to hone their skills. The next Olympic is by the corner, and of course, competing through colleges system is one way of trying to prepare the athletes as well for as big as an event as the Olympics. Remember, they take part in the African competitions, but at the same time, they must get exposed to the other world-class athletes.
Yeah, definitely, I totally agree, because you see, like I said earlier, they have better facilities to train with, and taking part in this top-notch activity or championship also help them to prime their talent better. Though you say they've taken part in some of the African championship, but then the quality of the competition are not always the same. There's top-notch organization, and also preparation. They also, have to take special care of these athletes, more like, trying to at least get the better of them But here in Africa, it is a different ball game altogether. We don't have that top-notch facilities, and the impeccable organizational structure that we see over there is quite different from what we get here in Africa. So for me, I think it's a better template and platform for some of these athletes to properly harness their talent going forward.
There's a better template out there for these athletes, especially those enrolled in the collegiate system, to compete and, of course, prepare for major championship across. Still in athletics, Jacob Bristen has broken the 28-year-old 3,000 world record, 3,000 meters world record by more than 3 seconds before Amadou Duplantis, of course, did break his own as well in the pole vault event, and they just concluded their morning meeting in Celestia. This is renowned athletes taking it a notch higher.
Yeah, I think for me, very impressive one, because they've over time shown that indeed what they did at the Just Paris Olympic game wasn't a fluke, because this is 10th time that he has actually broken that record for himself for the year. So he clearly cement himself as one of the best, talking about Duplantis, who also did pretty well in the just concluded Paris Olympic Games, setting record, breaking the same record to set a new one. It's a clear testament of the fact that at least as it stands right now, it's on the top of his game out, and it will take quite a while for some other athlete to also break this record, because it did not come easy. Even listening to him shortly after that record-breaking race, it's very clear that he had to train extra hard to ensure that at least he break his own personal record, and that is what you get when you add more effort to what you've been doing over the years. It's about improvement, it's about dedication and doggedness, and that is what is keeping him going. So it's very clear that his impressive display at the just concluded Paris Olympic game is not by a fluke. 3,000
meters event, their record broken, and of course, my heart goes out to the Kenyan who had that record previously by 20.67 seconds. Daniel Komen, who in 1996 broke that record, and that's been a really long time. Yeah. And I think now he will be turning and like, what's going on here? But that's what it is. Records are meant to be broken. In the pole vault event, Sweden's Duplantis cleared 6.26 meters, 1 centimeter higher than this previous record set, like you mentioned there. Sets his record, breaks it, and of course continue to make it his own area. And so Duplantis continue to join Americans Sam Krendix and of course Greece Emmanuel Koralis, who won the Olympic silver and bronze respectively after jumping 6 meters. This time around a notch higher, over 6 meters for Duplantis. Away from that event, let's look at Nigeria's performances at the Abidjan event, where we saw Nigeria's archery team once again make the nation proud with a stellar performance at the annual archery championship held in Abidjan, Ivory Coast. It's not a very popular sport, but we'll continue to keep this one as an area where continentally we are strong.
Yeah, just like you said, not a popular sport, but then I think we are making headway. And what this simply means is that if you invest so much and pay much attention to some of these not popular sports, we can actually compete with the best of the best. Take a look at what they've achieved for the continent of Africa in the archery. I think it's very impressive for a sport that is relatively unknown right here in the country. I believe if we can do more, at least we stand a better chance to perform very well in some of these non-popular sports right here in the country. So for the archery team, they've actually been doing us proud. In the last edition, they actually did pretty well. And overall, they have about 10 medals to show for it. So for me, it's not a fluke. They've actually come to stay. Let's hope that they continue with this developmental project and continue to, fight for honor, when it matters most, because that is what matters for me. And a close attention, a close eye should be paid to the archery team to ensure that they continue to progress and develop the way they are going. Because if they do, I tell you, they are going to be one of the best teams right here in Africa, because they've demonstrated that. But then closer attention need to be paid to this team, so that at the end of it all, they don't just go their different ways. When next we get to remember them is maybe we have any major tournament. That has been the bane, that has been the issue and challenges that we're facing right here terms of the sports system. There is no consistency. We just wait until maybe just few weeks or few days before any major championship. That is when you get to prepare. Meanwhile, in other climes, they start preparation 2 years, 3 years before any major championship are there. So for me, looking at the way they are going, if much attention is being paid to them, I believe they can even achieve more success.
Actually, team here in Nigeria have potentials. Talking about the performance, I just concluded event in Abidjan. They show a lot of progress at the ball, of course, rake-off and compound archery disciplines. And I think we should see more medals being won there because they are talented archers from the Archery Club and, of course, the Zen Archery Club, who demonstrated a lot of skill and sportsmanship throughout the tournament out there in Abidjan. We say congratulations to them. They brought home the 10 gold medal, like he mentioned, 2 silver and 4 bronze medals across various categories. And this is really, really cheering. The federation must do more to exposing or doing more local competition, at least aim at giving some level of awareness and publicity to the event. They're looking forward now to yet another event, but I will keep our fingers crossed and hope that they will heed to advice and continue to do more. Let's now look at one more event just before we go on a break. Wembley Stadium has officially sold out for the highly anticipated International Boxing Federation heavyweight bout between Nigeria's Anthony Joshua and, of course, Daniel Dubois, scheduled for the 21st of September, just about another 4 weeks or so from now. Mike, this bout is the much anticipated bout in the heavyweight division of boxing after the resurgence of Anthony Joshua. Remember, he's had 3 fights now. This will be his 4th fight. Yeah. And if he's able to take out Dubois, then it looks like he's ready for the big one against the Ukrainian.
Yeah, I think for me, very, very good way to shape up his career as he tried to come back to that apex or the zenith of his career after losing his title twice. So for me, I think this is going to be a very good platform. And of course, the British fans, they are very, very excited. That is why before you could say Jack when the ticket is out, I mean, they've already, bought all the tickets. So for me, it clearly tells you of the high anticipation from the fans and boxing followers across the globe. And for me, this one holds a very significant importance in the career of Anthony Joshua, because this might, make or even mar his career forward as he tries to build back, after that setback. Don't forget, this ground is a very, favorable ground for him. This is where he actually demonstrated or declared his intent to the world when he actually humbled Vladimir Klitschko in that very stadium. So for me, he holds a very significant history for his career. But then he's going to be the challenger of this IBF belt, against Daniel Dubois, a very strong fighter, a hard-punching fighter as well, who is also very slick and very technical on the ring. So Anthony Joshua needs just to be very, very careful going against Daniel Dubois, because I tell you, I've actually taken a watch about his clips out there. Is very, very good on a day, when he catches you. So for me, Anthony Joshua, in his quest to build back his reputation and integrity, I believe that he's, well primed to make this one count for himself. At least if he get this one done and dusted, then he awaits the rematch between the Gypsy King and the IBF holder, talking about the Ukrainian. So for me, I think we are waiting, and I can't even wait for that day, because excitement in the air already from boxing fans across the world.
Excitement in the air. 21st of September is the date. Anthony Dubois and Anthony Joshua and, of course, Dubois in a very crunch time. IBF title, heavyweight title, is being held before by Anthony Joshua.
Yeah, definitely. He has held that belt before, but relinquished it long time ago. So, like I said, this is another great, opportunity for him to as well demonstrate that indeed what he did before wasn't a fluke. He can also replicate that again against Daniel Dubois, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Taking a look at some of his training regiment so far, building up to this game, we want to say yes, Anthony Joshua is very, very ready, very much prepared for this very one.
Well, let's hope that he can cross this battle and go for the biggest one, which is against Alexander Usyk, and the whole world will know, yes, there's Anthony Joshua is back. Nigerian fans here are praying seriously for him to at least excel and get back to his enviable height.
True. You know, Nigerians, we have a very rich affiliation with Anthony Joshua, and that is why, you know, when he lost his last bet, it was so painful to, even Nigerians more than the British fans are there, because of the attachment that Nigerians have for Anthony Joshua. A few weeks ago, you just saw, you know, Israel Adesanya breezed into the country, and you saw the excitement and the joy in the heart of Nigeria, despite losing his fight against Duplessis. But then the joy of coming back home still remains, because you have to go back to your roots, just like Bob Marley said, going back to your root. Despite the fact that Anthony Joshua is representing another country, but then his roots is never forgotten, and that is why whenever he gets on the ring, he gets the backing and support of Nigerians everywhere across the world.
Well, let's go to tennis now. And talking about tennis reminds me the biggest event, the last for the year in terms of Grand Slam, is here with us. The U.S. Open taking place in Flushing Meadows gets underway today. And Mike, let's take a look at it. Overall, we understand this is the biggest payday now in tennis. 75 million US dollars has been put into this one at organizing it. And winners in both the male and female category can go home with 6.6 million, just that alone as winning the title. But there's graduating from the first round up till the title itself. Understand, if you lose in the first round, you can as well still smile home with 100,000 US dollars. Organization-wise, how ready are the organizers of the last Grand Slam of the year, the US Open?
I think they are very, very ready for this very one. I was actually watching a video about their preparation, about the organizational structure. I tell you, everything has been put in place. I believe that Novak Djokovic has what it takes, to also defend this very well successfully, especially looking at the fact that he's been able to win one of the elusive trophy that have actually eluded him over the years, talking about the Olympic. Winning that very one is going to serve as a additional motivation, and he has made it very clear that he wants to also continue to compete at the highest level, to continue to at least a whole sway. So for such a man that has broken all records, that have won everything that there is to win in the world of tennis, and still fighting very hard, even with his age, he's not yet giving up. I tell you, he's very, very ready. But then there are other stiffer opponents as well that he need to also face in this very one. Don't forget,
for a long time.
Yes, you see, this record that he set before him, it will actually propel him to at least, do very well, because you want to also hold that enviable record, making it 25 Grand Slam, I think, to go ahead of other players, some of the big name, Roger Federer, that have also hold some very impressive record as well. So I tell you, he's very ready. And again, considering the fact that the world number one, talking about Yannick Sinner, it's also in the mix for some criticism about failing some doping tests out there. So many tennis players have actually come out to tongue lash him, and the system, talking about the International Tennis Integrity Agency, for allowing Yannick Sinner to compete where he was actually tested positive twice and he failed on that test. Some point was actually deducted from him, and some money was levied against him. And so many players out there was like, there seems to be a favoritism or some stuff out there. There seems to be a double standard.
Competitive, close in deciding who can nick it in the female category.
Yeah, the WTA is always very, very competitive over the years. We've seen that. And with the poor performance of the world number one, talking about Iga Swiatek, they just concluded Paris Olympic game. I know she will be ready this time around to also, at least dust herself up from that disappointing outing at the Paris Olympic game, and see if she can be able to make this one count. And of course, number one statue is at stake right here, because she has maintained that position for a quite long time. We are seeing other players as well, coming up very strong. Aina Zabalenka, just like you mentioned, Coco Gauff, and the Chinese Zheng as well is not also left aside. Don't forget as well that Naomi Osaka as well is also in for this very one.
Well, this round fixtures gets underway today, and it promises to be very tight. A lot of players will be on the court later today. We'll promise to give you the results of the matches that we played, at least some of the matches on our program Sports Extraordinary, coming up at 6 p.m. Nigerian time. But a lot of the stars are really getting ready to get to that court out there at Flushing Meadows. The Grand Slam, like we mentioned to you, 3.6 million US dollars at stake as winning as prize for the winner of the title. But if you get to fall out from today, then you can still smile to the bank with 100,000 US dollars. That's a handsome paycheck for maybe just 1 hour, 2 hours on the court. We'll take a break now. When we return from break, we'll get to the ever-busy world of football. There is complete return of football in Europe as well. Then on the continent of Africa, qualifiers for the second round of the CAF Champions League and Confederations Cup are ready. Unfortunately, Remo Stars again crash out from the first round of the CAF Champions League. When we return for a break, we'll give you the details of this and many more, especially what has transpired at the Premiership in England. Stay with us. Welcome back. Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network. We've told you how Team Nigeria is set for participation at the Paralympic Games due in Paris in the next 48 hours, especially in the tennis event where we've rigged medals before. The team made of about 8 athletes are set and, of course, promising more medals for Nigeria. And let's quickly now go beyond the fact that the last Grand Slam of the year. The US Open gets underway this morning, and a lot of money.
Happy about the monetary attachment to some of these things out there. So you take a look at the pay that comes with this very one is way better compared to what she's earning at the Edo Queens. And of course, she was very instrumental helping the team to finish third in the last Nigerian Women Football League out there. So for me, I think it's an upgrade to her career.
Congratulations to Charity Ruben. They're moving from Bayelsa Queens now to Ahali side of Egypt. And that's, for me, a really big move and en route to her performance going to Europe. She was part of the Falconet side, if you remember.
Yeah.
And I think that is the way to go. You have to keep improving on your game. Let's now look at how teams are getting ready. This weekend here in Nigeria, the Premier League gets underway. It's young, and most of them with, you know, A license. We've never seen this number of A license coaches in the Premier League here in Nigeria.
Yeah, true. And that is why this season is going to even be more tougher, more competitive, compared to other seasons out there because of the top quality coaches, that are bound this time around and that will be vying for honor, representing different clubs, just like you mentioned. The likes of Finidi George for Rivers United. You can also
Imama Mapakabo,
there is
Boboye as well.
Yeah,
Kennedy
Boboye, Fidelis Ilechuku, Loru Leke of Rivers United. I mean, Enyimba as well. So for me, top-notch quality coaches, in the Nigerian Premier Football League season for the 2024-2025, and this is why. Teams out there are not taking it lightly. You take a look at some of their pre-season activities, you see that most of the team are putting final touches to making sure that they start the season in a very good note. Also coupled with the fact that we've seen a little bit of better improvement or better organizational structure of the league last time out, by the Gbenga Legbeleye board. And also we are hoping that this season is even going to continue. We have had, also this season that, they are going to broadcast, some of these games just like what we saw last season. And again, buoyed by the fact that there have been an upgrade of the prize money from 150 million this season is going to be 200 million. So most of the things have also helped to, different teams out there to prepare better. Some big name teams that did not do pretty well last season, the likes of Aqua United, the likes of even Rivers United, this time around I believe they have learned their lesson and they are putting final touches to ensure that at least they perform better compared to what we saw last season.
2024-2025 football season gets underway this weekend here in Nigeria. Club sides are already, most of them in pre-season camp, and our hearts still continue to go out to the families of Christian Obi, who in course of preparing the team, Hadland FC of Owerri, for the kickoff of this season, lost his life in a ghastly motor accident at the weekend. Talking about Nigeria football, this weekend, last weekend has not been very good because we saw two teams crash out of continental competition. First, it was El Kanami Warriors that crashed out of the CAF Confederations Cup, and now Remo Stars have crashed out of the CAF Champions League, all in the very first round. Remo Stars went to Rabat in Morocco and were beaten 2-1. They lost by 1-0, and of course, now an aggregate scoreline of 2-3 because it was 2-1 in the first leg match played at Ikene. Remo Stars last year was beaten by this same FAR of Morocco. Now they have sent them packing again in the same first round. Say FAR, and I'm very sure Remo will disappear into this tier.
Yes, I think for me, very disappointing one for Remo Stars. Playing 2-1 at home, going away to lose 2-0, making it a total of 3-2 on aggregate in favor of the Moroccans. I think it's not a very good one for me because this is the same team that also defeated them last season. This time around, you expect them to prepare better. But then, I believe they did everything possible because building up to that game, the game was actually played under the floodlights, and they went there early. They've been preparing, and they even trained under the floodlight. They even had to even carry some instrument of music as well to also try to replicate the kind of, what their fans, what the Moroccan fans often do out there, more like trying to get use of familiar with the atmosphere out there. But all of this could not save them as they failed to the firepower of the Moroccans. I think for me, quite disappointing. Look as though they weren't ready for this very one. You know, being
like that before. So this is an opportunity for a Nigerian club side to make money, and they lost it all in the very first round.
I think for me, very disappointing. Just like you said, El Kanemi Warrior, just coming back from the NNL to
it's
the
a Nigerian club side, for goodness sake.
Yes, but they have a rich history. You know, they have been plying their trade in the top flight league here before going to relegation, bouncing back. It's a household name right here. And for me, it clearly shows you the level of improvement that we've seen with the Benin side. Don't forget, this same Benin, they also defeated the Super Eagles in the World Cup qualifying games away from their own home ground. This time around, their team, their local club, are there beating El Kanemi Warriors. It clearly tells you of the difference in terms of sport development. Yesterday I actually took our time to actually, do some research to discover the reason why it seems as though Benin Republic is beginning to gain the ascendancy, to have the better hand over, Nigeria. And I begin to discover that they have actually put up about 6 years plan in ground in terms of sport development. And this kick started about 3 years ago, so the deliberate attempt to develop, not just football, but sport generally from Benin Republic have seen them to begin to rise, and this is why we are seeing them challenging teams like Super Eagles that over the years you cannot, compare our record or the quality of players that we have here with the Benin Republic. So for me, it is very surprising, and it's a clear indication and a testament that we need just to improve a lot in terms of sport development right here in the country.
2024, 2025 CAF competitions, both in the Champions League and the Conference Cup, started with 4 teams from Nigeria. Now 2 have crashed out. El Kanemi Warriors out of the CAF Conference Cup, Remo Stars out of the CAF Champions League. We still have Rangers International in the...
And I believe they've actually prepared. They got their preparation kicked off very early. And, going to their camp and what some of their social media handlers have been, saying and their preparation, I think they are very, very ready and positioned to do better compared to their last outing. Our first game is going to be a very tough one against South Korea, which for me, I think it will hold of a great importance. If we can be able to start on a very positive note, I think it's going to be to our advantage. But in all, I think we'll have what it takes to do the country proud.
Away from the continent of Africa, now let's quickly go to Europe. And of course, we told you last weekend that the leagues have returned across Europe. Let's first review the Premiership in England, where it's to match day 2 at the weekend. We saw 32 goals scored in the 10 games that were played, and 1 draw, 5 home wins, and 3 away victories. Most importantly, at the weekend, we saw of the 3 away victories, 1 coming very spectacular from Chelsea, in a 6-2 over their opponents, Wolves. This is, do I say, the star match of the weekend in Premiership in England?
Yeah, star match. Looking at the controversy surrounding Chelsea Football Club about the administrative system and about their transfer policy so far and their bloated squad. Chelsea has been under the radar for wrong decision according to so many sport pundits out there and about their transfer policies. But then, all eyes was on them after losing their first opening EPL game to Manchester City at Stamford Bridge. They went away against a very hard-fighting Wolves that actually defeated this same Chelsea last season. Home and away, they humbled Chelsea last season. So many were...
The Nigerian was on the showcase. Noni Madueke scored a hat-trick for his side, his very first hat-trick for Chelsea.
Very impressive one. The first half actually was very, very much entertaining. It ended 2-2. At some point, the Wolverhampton, supporters believe they will do it because Chelsea scored first before they now equalized. Chelsea took the lead again. They now equalized before they went into the break. But coming back from the break, Chelsea was a different Chelsea altogether as they banged in a 4 unreplied goal in the second half to make it 6-2. I think the Maresca's ball is beginning to at least take shape gradually. You saw some of the tactics and the substitution that he made. So I think 3 games played so far, 2 victories, 1 loss, and they've actually scored more goals so far this season. 8 goals scored, 4 conceded. I think the only challenge that they will be having that seems to be a headache is about the defense line. They need to solidify their defense line. Going forward, I think Chelsea will definitely do well.
In other matches played at the Premiership at the weekend, we saw Newcastle play a 1-1 draw with Bournemouth playing at home. Then Liverpool continue to show their strength, maybe this season with a 2-0 win over Brentford, while Brighton were able to overpower their counterparts from Manchester United by 2-1. Crystal Palace lost at home, West Ham beating them by 2-0. Fulham were 2-1 better than Leicester at their own home ground. Manchester City continued to score with numbers 4-1 against Ipswich Town. One man that was spectacular was Erling Haaland with yet another hat-trick, 4 goals in 2 games.
Statement of intent from the striker out there. Any day, anytime. He's a goal poacher. Just give him that ball at the edge of the box. He definitely know how to place into the back of the net. Big one for Erling Haaland.
Erling Haaland beginning to count how many goals he will score this season. We will keep tracking him as well. But meanwhile, we saw Southampton beaten by Nottingham Forest and a away win for Nottingham Forest there. Tottenham Hotspur made the number of goals many in the encounter against Everton. They scored as many as 4 goals. 4 unreplied goals. Everton conceding 8 goals in the first 2 games of the season.
Not a very good one. Looking at the way they finished the season last time out, I think this time around they need to watch it. If not, I tell you, they might possibly this time around go to the relegation.
It's 2-2 for Arsenal. They went to Aston Villa, beating the team by 2-0. Aston Villa, remember, last season beat Arsenal home and away, and so it was a crunch tie out there. Let's see what happened in the German Bundesliga that returned this weekend for match day 1. Bayern Munich struggled to beat Wolfsburg by 3-2.
Big struggle out there, and it's a big worry, a big question mark for Vincent Kompany and his new team out there. I think they were not very convincing on the night, but then thanks to Harry Kane, the goal machine, who came to the rescue, and even Jamal Musiala as well. But then I think the display is not totally convincing for Vincent Kompany.
Say in the Bundesliga in Germany, we saw Augsburg play 2-2 with Werder Bremen. Hoffenheim beat Holstein-Kiel by 3-2. Mainz were better than, in fact, it was 1-1 between Mainz and Union Berlin. RB Leipzig continued to show their class. They beat Bochum by 1-0, while Borussia Dortmund spanked Eintracht Frankfurt by 2-0. Earlier at the weekend, we saw Bayern Leverkusen beat Mönchengladbach by 3-2. Let's see what happened in La Liga in Spain. It looks like there's no stopping Real Madrid in this one, because they beat Valladolid by 3-0. Goal scorers on this one, of course, the familiar names.
Yeah, but it's just that Kylian Mbappe was actually not on the score sheet. He was also substituted, bringing in the likes of Hendrik, who came to make a cameo appearance, but also scored, in that 10-minute, cameo appearances that he made out there. So for me, for Madrid, I think it's a good way to, start the season. After drawing their first game, winning this second game, I think it gives them that, leverage going forward.
Leganés beat Palmas by 2-1 in his La Liga as well. We saw a goalless encounter between Alaves and Real Betis. Atletico Madrid were 3 goals better than Girona, and earlier we've seen Osasuna beat Real Mallorca by 1-0. FC Barcelona were 2-1 better than Atletico Bilbao. Barcelona continue to show how young players can excel at top games.
True, and I believe as a flick, he's beginning to make that team look more like a formidable team with the young crops of talent that they have. 2 wins out of 2 games so far, good one for them, as they continue to see if they can be able to maneuver their financial crisis and see to compete in this year's La Liga.
Let's go to the French league now, where Lens beat Brest by 2-0. Nantes were 2 goals better than Auxerre. Nigerian on the score sheet in this one.
Yeah, very impressive one. I think so many Nigerians are beginning to find their scoring boots. Even Alex Iwobi, don't forget, as well, scored over the weekend, for Fulham to at least give them that 3-point. Very impressive one. Whenever we get to hear Nigerian player on the score sheet, I think it gives us that leverage. Even Moise Simon as well for Ligue 1 also scored for 90.
Meanwhile, Marseille played out 2-2 draw with Reims in the fixture at the weekend. Lyon, playing at home, lost to Monaco 2-0. Lille beat Angers by 2-0 as well in the French league. Then, if you are talking about goals, it was plenty in the encounter between Paris Saint-Germain and Montpellier. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 goals to nothing in that fixture. It looks like Paris Saint-Germain are beginning to hit goals even without their former hitman, Kylian Mbappe.
Very impressive one. They've actually scored 10 goals in 2 games without their key man, talking about Kylian Mbappe. And this time around, I think so many are beginning to ask questions that they should have even let Kylian Mbappe to leave before, because he doesn't afford other players that opportunity to take their chances. But now that he seems to be away from the team, they play more like a unit, more like a component, scoring 10 goals in 2 matches out there with ease. I think it's a big one going forward for PSG.
Let's quickly go to the Italian Serie A, where Fiorentina played a goalless draw with Valencia. Torino beat Atalanta by 2-1. Napoli were 3 goals better than Bologna. Roma lost at home, Empoli beating them by 2-1. Talking about Napoli and Victor Osimhen.
I think it's a very dicey situation that they find themselves out there. For Napoli and Victor Osimhen, we hear that Victor Osimhen might be heading for the Saudi Pro League because of his salary wage as well. So for me, after losing the first game 4-0, this is their second game at home, and Anthony Conte is a coach that has a winning mentality. They were able to get all 3 points. But I think the only major highlight is about the situation of Victor Osimhen. Now they have officially completed the signing of Romelu Lukaku from Chelsea. I think Victor Osimhen should find his way out. If not, Anthony Conte has told him that he's not going to be an integral member of his squad.
AC Milan lost